Thanks so much for coming out. Good evening. Nearly 1 year ago today, June 15th of last year, All for Transportation began collecting petitions to fund transportation solutions in Hillsborough County. These were petitions to end the consequences of a generation's worth of neglect in funding a transportation system. These are petitions that were signed because people had simply had enough. We asked the people of Hillsborough County to lend us their name, to lend us their voice, and invest in their future. 282,000 people answered the call in November to better invest in transportation solutions in Hillsborough County. And today we have prevailed in our legal defense of those 282,000 voters. Today is a momentous day for Hillsborough County and for the power of citizens in our democracy. Judge Barbas upheld the 1-cent sales tax that was overwhelmingly approved by voters and which will help undo that generation of neglect in transportation funding. We want to thank our attorneys at Hill Ward Henderson, Ben Hill, Robert Schimberg, and Kip Marshall, as well as our co-defendants in the government agencies who vigilantly defended the voters in this case. And most of all, we want to thank from the bottom of all of our hearts, every single person who signed a petition, who walked through the summer rain in 2018 to sign a petition, who donated their money, who donated their time, who donated the scarce of both that they had, and who voted for this in November of last year and forever changed the trajectory of this county. With that, I'll take any questions.
Are you guys confident it's here legally, or what's your message to, obviously, Commissioner Stacy White tonight, who's been fighting this for this whole time now?
Sure. Well, since the very beginning, Commissioner White has said that he wants a judge to clarify. We think the clarification was provided today that this is a legal tax. It's a legal investment in transportation that the citizens of Hillsborough County imposed on themselves, something that's never really been done here. And we expect to abide by the ruling.
The judge's ruling strikes down the percentages that you guys want to spend on the different categories, congestion, bike and pedestrian stuff. How concerned are you now that Hillsborough County can just spend this money whatever way they see fit, maybe put a lot more of it into roads?
We're very confident that the Hillsborough County Commission heard what the voters clearly said. When they voted for that 57%, it wasn't just that the money should be raised, it was how it should be spent. And so we're very confident that the Commission will implement the will of the voters.
And if they don't?
We're very confident that the County Commission is going to implement the will of the voters.
Would you consider appealing the judge's decision if the commissioners just leave things as they are?
Like I said, we think the County Commission heard very clearly what voters wanted. They want a plan that works for everyone in every single corner of Hillsborough County. And there's no question in the judge's ruling that the County Commission can put back what the judge has taken away, and we're confident that we're going to do that. But we're obviously, as always, looking at what our options are legally and politically.
Where does this ruling leave the bus agency?
Well, it kept the provision that some of the money has to go to the transit portion that is described in the amendment. The percentage was obviously changed, but we're very confident that the County Commission knows that people want more public transit options, that we need to move away from having a solely car-centric community, and we're confident that they're going to address that.
What do you tell the average commuter, driver here in Hillsborough County of how this will impact their day-to-day lives? And then to follow that, the commissioner also kind of criticized saying that this money can't go to building new roads or adding lanes. So how do you propose improvements or solutions will get done if you can't?
Yeah, well, to every voter in Hillsborough County, I'd say help is on the way. I mean, you are going to get what you voted for. You wanted more money spent on transportation, and that's exactly what you're going to get. This Wednesday, the Hillsborough County Commission, they've already released their first list of projects that are going to be funded by this transformative investment, and they're in every single part of the county. The city of Tampa is going to follow suit, Hart's going to follow suit, so no matter how you get around in Hillsborough County or where you're going, you're going to see some changes soon. And the fact that the judge upheld the voters' decision to invest in their transportation future today should give them a lot of peace of mind.
How does this impact the ILC?
The judge left the independent oversight committee in place. He had some changes that he felt he needed to make, but we campaigned on this having independent oversight, and that's what this IOC is still going to have. It's been named. They're having their first meeting, I think, next month, and we look forward to seeing them do what the charter amendment requires them to do.
Will this teach any of their responsibilities? I know the judge had something on that.
I think the judge tweaked a little bit about how you define what approve means, but there's no question that the IOC is going to get a chance to look at these projects and make sure that that they're spent in accordance with how the commission decides, and that they're going to be able to review the audit to make sure there's no waste, fraud, and abuse. I think people, with the investment that the people of Hillsborough County have made now, that they are going to demand that this money is stewarded in a very prudent way, and the Independent Oversight Committee is going to be the citizens' watchdog for that.
Do you personally have any ideas of what you'd like to see done with some of this money, whether it be public transit or like you said, just roadways, interstates?
All the above. I mean, we have a transportation system that does not work for anyone right now. I mean, no matter what your commute's like, no matter where you're going, no matter what you're driving, no matter what you're getting around, it's failing you in some way. It means you can't get that better job across town. It constrains people's lives in a huge way, and it's too expensive. And you can combine the cost of transportation and housing in this community, it becomes a lot less of an affordable place to live. So what I want to see is the same all of the above solution to fixing our problems that the voters campaigned on. There's no silver bullets. The time for that type of silly, fanciful thinking's over, I think.
Any other questions?
Bear in mind that you had 3 attorneys in your core team under your leadership. Do you think that you kind of goofed in not seeing that part of the charter amendment was unconstitutional?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, we stand by the campaign we ran and the amendments that we put before the voters. We don't agree with the judge's decision. We respect it, and we're excited to move on and get money spent in the community, which is what we've been lacking for so long. That's why we did this.
Shouldn't you have known that you were kind of rubbing up against state law in terms of the authority of the commission?
No.
Why not?
Because voters have the right to tax themselves, and that's what they did, and that's what was upheld. That the court says that the county commission needs to decide precisely what the percentages are, that's fine.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
And thanks for adjusting to come inside. I'm glad we did.